I do see Town. Thank you very much. He is sleeping like 15 feet from me right now. So we'll see how long he stays asleep. That will, in large part, determine how long the stream goes. But we'll see. Thank you. I'm just going to grab a quick drink and then we will get started without much ado. But just bear with me 1 minute, guys, as we get going. And yeah, we'll get going here in just a moment. All right, yeah, 1 minute, guys. All right. Hello, everybody. It's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we are returning to Burden of Command, an upcoming turn based war game that is also a leadership role playing game set during World War II, where you follow a company of soldiers in the Cotton Ballers unit from the start of the war in Europe to the conclusion. And so we've just gotten through the training missions, the tutorial, and we're about to go into combat for the first time. Now, we've had 5 tutorials to this point, and that has allowed us to get our troops to be a little bit more experienced here. You can see the first platoon has the first squad in the first platoon, which has 300 experience out of a potential 500. They have been given an extra action or order because they are now considered veterans, which seems a little silly considering that they haven't actually heard the crack of a rifle yet, but whatever, we'll just assume they're some sort of regular unit that is better trained and prepared than perhaps some of the other units. But most of our units have at least 1 star here. Not extra units, they're all still sort of green, but they have at least 1 star for the most part. Our unit is technically the first platoon. Our character, Lieutenant Butcher, is the LT of the first platoon, but I believe we command all of these. I believe we command the whole company. Captain Lamb is our CO, and we were. It seems based on some of the interactions in the last sort of dialogue bit that I'm his heir apparent, because he's sort of taken me aside, confided in me, and then we kind of witnessed like Lieutenant Wilson, Lieutenant Dearborn, and Stern sort of gossiping amongst themselves about like, am I actually a good officer? And we'll see when the first gunshot, when I hear the first shot in anger, which is funny considering I don't think maybe Wilson, but certainly Dearborn and Stern haven't heard any shots in anger, and we're all appears in theory. But yeah, we are about to go ashore in Morocco, facing the Vichy French. We are part of Operation Torch, and that's where our unit is going to land. We're part of the 3rd Infantry Division right now, under Patton, I believe it said in the briefing. And so that's where we find ourselves at the moment. Now, this is being live streamed as you're watching on Twitch, but I also have a sleeping 2-week-old that I just fed in the room just next to me with the door open. So if I have to run off and disappear for an hour and this thing ends suddenly, well, that's why. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this thing. This game comes out April 8th, and yeah, it's really leaning into kind of the storytelling nature, the leadership nature. It has mechanics around, how much stress you take over the course of your time. We'll see what happens there. We sort of saw our first experience of stress at the end of the last tutorial mission when our sort of sergeant, who had been sort of guiding you through the tutorial, pushed a officer out of the way of a tank that was backing up. It was muddy, and a tank was starting to bog down, and so the tank was trying to back up, and this was like the end of a training mission. And I guess the officer was trying to like read us his report of how we did. He wasn't paying attention. The tank was going to back into him. Our sergeant sort of basically shoved him out of the way to save him. Our sergeant was not able to get out of the way, and I attempted to save him. He was maimed. He was injured and maimed, but he survived. He is no longer in the military, though, because of being maimed and run over and crushed by a tank. And I somehow miraculously escaped any injury. I believe when you make the decision to try and shove him out of the way, you're supposed to get hurt the vast majority of the time. But my lucky stars shone with me, and we did not get hurt. And then in sort of the in-between period, as we were on ship on our way to getting on the Higgins boats here to land in Morocco, there was like a bar, some Browning automatic rifle that got hung up in some cargo netting alongside as people were sort of embarking on the Higgins boat, and I, being the great lieutenant that I am, rather than an NCO, or the person who got their gun stuck, I like crawled up there and was able to get it loose, despite the fact that I was sort of hanging between two ships that are kind of going side by side and was risking getting myself crushed. So somehow I managed to survive both those events unscathed, and I'm hoping that has been part of the reason why my officer has 150 trust currently with my soldiers, whereas none of the other officers have over 100. So you can see like you've got a heart icon here, which is represented by trust. For officers, that's a trait that only is relevant for officers. Presumably it influences like how well soldiers are going to listen to an officer, how inspiring they will be. There's other metrics here as well, like how many casualties you have in terms of there's 2 different casualty icons here. There's also combat fatigue, which it doesn't have mine up here, so I'm not sure if it got negated, but anyway. Let's go ahead. That's enough of me rambling. Let's just see what the North Africa scenario has here. Hey, J Street. Red Beach. November 1942, Morocco. Oh, real quick.
Finally, on the 5th day, we got the news. I mean, what we'd been waiting to hear. They handed out little guidebooks. I remember the first line. You are to do duty in North Africa as a soldier of the United States.
Okay, so they've got all these little like clips and whatnot before each sort of dialogue period to kind of add a little bit of historical flavor here. Let me know if the audio on that or if my audio is too high or if it's good, but I think it looks like it should be good. Just making one quick tweak here. Okay. All right. There we go. All right. So, oh, that's not what I want. I don't want. There. Good. All right. 8th November, 1942, off the coast of Morocco.
We were green as grass. Thought that just being on that shit was
Okay. Am I going to get the sound effect the whole time? Let me know if you can hear me, guys, over the audio, or if it's kind of loud. It's loud in my ear, but is this audio too loud? Do I need to turn the desktop down at all? That's fine. Okay, cool. It's been 4 hours since you loaded up. The men have long since given up being dry, let alone warm. Your platoon hunkers down in the grumbling belly of the landing boat, huddled together in the moonless dark. Sprays of ocean waves surge over the bow. The rumble of engine pitches upwards. The boat enters yet another slow turn, and the agony of the delay spreads across the tense faces. So yeah, we're on a Higgins boat. Obviously, one of the things that nobody ever talks about in landing operations in World War II is that you don't just get on the boat and go ashore, like, especially for the first waves. There's this whole form-up period. People don't talk about that for World War II aviation either. The hours spent getting units into formation over England and stuff like that. And in this case, we're rumbling around in our landing craft, just waiting to get going. Okay. But they did have ramps. All right. I like these little connotations, like these little historical notes here that you get in the briefings also. Anyway, a dim red light flickers. The coxswain, a young man in a dark blue dungarees, leans forward at the control deck to inspect a fuel gauge, which, with a filtered flashlight, he taps the glass, cover with a worried look on his face, then returns his attention to the dark seas. With both hands, he shifts the control wheel to keep the boat steady amid a flotilla of landing craft, whose engines are far quieter than your own. Absently pull the charging handle on my carbine, increased rapport with the coxswain. Do we meet this coxswain again? Lean back and let the coxswain do his work. Small rapport increase with the coxswain. Stay focused on my men. Our turn will come. I'm not sure what a relationship with this guy is, why it's relevant, but sure, let him do his work. The coxswain keeps both hands on the wheel as he focuses on the seas ahead. Behind him lies the silhouettes of the invasion fleet, black against the starlit sky. White waves surge as other landing boats make a radical turn. Engines deepen their growl in the distance. The coxswain throttles up. Okay. See, Private Roberts held down his Navy chow. High chance of trust +3. Talk with Private Hancock. Morris and Patterson probably have a joke ready. Low chance. I'd want to know what their joke, but if you're telling me it's a low chance of trust +4, I'll just see what... Did he hold down his Navy chow? Roberts has puked in his helmet. Normally that'd be a different issue to solve, but he's readily slings the contents into the darkness and then washes things out with a bit of ocean spray. Just in time, too, because he proceeds to hurl yet more vomit over the side. Trust +3. Though there is nothing you can do for the man, your sympathy is noted by the soldiers who are holding their queasy stomachs. There's no shame in vomiting on this boat ride. You bunch of landlubbers! Arg! A rumble like a freight train passes overhead. A fountain of water bursts into the night sky. White flashes shatter the darkness of the shore. Shells scream overhead toward the transports you left behind. Private Roberts hastily finishes puking over the side. He's now completely done with his breakfast. Sergeant Grant leans over to the private and asks loudly above the din, "You all right, Roberts?" Naval bombardment occurred after it became clear that the French would oppose the landing. The coded order behind this decision was very American. Play ball! I did not know that. All right. This particular photograph is of HMS Belfast bombarding Normandy in June 1944. Okay, well, not the same thing, but okay. How could I not be? Private Roberts replies. He tries at a weak smile, clearly more for Grant's benefit than his own. I'm off that rusty bathtub of a ship, and no one shot me yet. This is about as good as it gets, Sarge. Some of the men volunteered to be here. Others did not. Private Hancock edges to Robert's side. Come up front. The air is better up there, trust me. The engine sputters down. No, by the way, no, I'm not going up front. I've seen Saving Private Ryan. The engine sputters, dying down to a low rumble. You turn to see the coxswain heaving the wheel of the helm with all his might, eyes wide in terror. That's not good. You lurch to the side as the boat goes into a hard turn away from the shore. Sergeant Grant helps you to stand back up. What the hell is this swabby doing? Grant asks as his boat keeps turning. Shove the coxswain from the hand. No, I'm not going to take command. I'm a fucking lieutenant in the army. What do I know about boats? Trust the coxswain not to screw. I mean, what other choice do I have? The coxswain reaches for the throttle and the engine roars back to life. He jerks the wheel over. Something dark beneath the water flashes past on either side. Ahead, another boat capsizes, spilling its human cargo into the sea. Jesus Christ. One of the things I will say this game does, and, you know, maybe it's just through the narrative elements, but it really does give a sense of, like, people dying for stupid reasons, which is very in tune with both peacetime and wartime military. But we had a guy get run over by a tank in training in the last, episode. And now we've got boats just capsizing through, I don't know if it's incompetence, but certainly inexperience with landing operations and maneuvering these out at sea. You hear Captain Lamb shout above the din as your boat zips past. Wait, so another boat capsizes, spilling its human cargo into the sea. You hear Captain Lamb shout out above the din as your boat zips past. Was Captain Lamb in that boat? The coxswain slows the engine, turns the wheel hard once, twice, and then throttles up once more. The sonar's vibration ripples through beneath your feet. Africa has reefs mostly along its eastern and southern coasts. Mostly Morocco is a treacherous exception. What the hell was that? A reef. Not on the maps, coxswain says, and lets out a weary sigh, never taking his gaze from his task. Madre de Dios, but I'm glad it's past. The vibration slowly fades away. He takes a deep breath, clears his throat, and at last looks to you. 100 yards from the landing, Lieutenant. Which one seems like a pale line on the horizon is now a vast expanse of dawnlit sand. We'll be exposed until we reach the dunes. We must move fast inland. Countless drills were for this moment. Move fast and inland. The hull shudders beneath you. The coxswain throttles back the engines in the quiet. Afterward, he yells, "Debark now!" "I see sand," Private Hancock yells from the bow, and then leaps over the side. Okay. Okay, so these are photos from... This is a photo from Morocco, I guess, up here. Colorized, obviously. All right, come on! You leap over the side into the waist-deep water. Your men follow. The moment you drop into the surf, the chill of the ocean numbs your toes. The awful stink of gasoline thickens the air as you struggle onto the sand. All around lie wrecked boats and sprawled men. This is one big snafu, Patterson grouses as he crawls forward, belly against the sand. Half the French army's shooting at me. French army, what's that? G. Morris replies as he hugs the beach just a few feet away. Maybe they're tired of you flapping gums already. Getting ashore is only the beginning. This particular photograph was taken near Algiers on the 8th of November, 1942. For these lucky soldiers, there were no shooting as the French did not fire. For the cotton balers on Red Beach, it was a different reception. Okay. You blink aside the sting of salty spray and a spy of a huddle of men just a few yards off. Sergeant Grant is among them, his feature etched by flashes of distant gunfire. "Lieutenant," Sergeant Grant calls to you. "First and second squads are here, but the third squad scattered itself good. Can't even find Roberts." 20-odd men from your platoon. Bear 2 squads of queasy salt-splashed soldiers. Okay, where's the rest of the company? Wherever the rest of Nickel Company is, that isn't here. Corporal Crossley presses his bar to his... Hey, and we got him his bar back. Huzzah! If I hadn't, like, played, you know... I don't know... Twister on the mesh nettings, we wouldn't have his bar. Okay. Corporal Crossley passes his bar to his assistant and then recovers a 30 cal that dangles from a wrecked boat, adopting it into the platoon's arsenal of democracy. Just like that, you've got a machine gun. Ocean waves crash in, drenching your men afresh. You have to get them moving. Off the beach! Let's go! So I can do one of 3 things. I can either shout for the French to surrender, which reduces French morale. I can rally the 3rd squad, which would give me a 3 full squad complement, or remove the fog of war. Let's remove the fog of war. You lead your way forward, your men follow in loose columns, spreading out as they go. As boats crunch dry sand, the silhouette of an American helmet emerges. In the flare of distant guns, you see upon it the silver oak leaves of a lieutenant colonel. What the fuck? The lieutenant colonel barks as he waves at your men over to his position behind a small swell of sand. Lieutenant Colonel Roy Moore, commander of the 1st Battalion of the 7th Infantry Regiment. Salute? No, I'm not saluting. Sniper check! That I am, Lieutenant Colonel Moore replies evenly as a salvo of shells scream overhead. I don't recognize you, son. Who are you with? The metallic rattle of the machine gun fills the air once more. A panicked scream rises high and raw before being cut short. Cassian, if you're not familiar, after France was defeated, so if you're not familiar, the current situation is after France was defeated in 1940, the French sued for peace or had a peace imposed upon them, and the Nazis allowed a French sort of collaborator state to be set up called Vichy France. It was led by Marshal Pétain of World War I fame. He became notorious, basically, for being the head of this sort of pro-fascist French state. It made up most of southern France. Northern France remained largely occupied by Germany. And eventually the south would be sort of increasingly too, but initially anyway, the south remained some semblance of autonomy. Under German suzerainty anyway. And they maintained control over certain French colonies, and they resisted Allied attempts to, give them the French fleet. There were a number of battles that were fought between the British and the French over the French Navy, the fate of the French Navy. And then in 1942, it was sort of viewed as the soft underbelly of North Africa to kind of get in behind Rommel. Because the French occupied Morocco and Algeria. And so the Americans and the Allies had hoped that the French would surrender and just sort of let them come through and join the fight. And there was a whole bunch of political dealings around that. But in some places, it didn't work out that way, and the Americans ended up fighting those French soldiers, the Vichy French, who were there. There were other French contingents, the Free French, under de Gaulle, who would fight alongside the Americans and the British. But the actual state of France, Vichy France, was not pro-Allied. So de Gaulle was basically like I don't know, I'm not like an expert in this part of history. Someone in the chat might know more, but I would almost call de Gaulle kind of a renegade in that he was like leading forces who wanted to continue to fight against the Nazis, but they were not the official representatives of the French government at this time. Kind of like an army in exile. Okay. Anyway, so back to the playing. All right. I'm with Nickel Company. Oh, I'm with you, sir. Sarcasm. Pathfinders for the 3rd Battalion. Verbosity indirectly. 1st Platoon, Nickel Company, 3rd Battalion. I guess that gives him all the info he needs. Although maybe that's too much? We'll just say Pathfinders for the 3rd Battalion. That's all he needs to know. Nickel Company, right, Lieutenant Moore considers. A sly grin creases his features. Well, as of now, you're working for me, understood? Understood. You don't have to like it, but you will follow. That's the Army way. Lieutenant Colonel Moore glares at you. Right now, I need you to lead these men forward. If I were dangling captain's bars in front of you, afterwards, wait, what? Lead these men forward if I were dangling captain's bars in front of you, afterwards, okay. That's a strange sentence, unless I'm just not reading it right. The crack of the machine gun fire drowns out whatever the lieutenant colonel was going to say next. He stabs a finger toward the flashes on the rise that overlooks the beach. Go get that son of a bitch before he stitches up any more of our men. That is definitely an order. All right. Take the machine gun position is the mission. The men suffer no more than light casualties. All right, so this is a small battle compared to some of the stuff we've been fighting before. There's an MG up here on the hill, small map, but the MG controls the entire map. There's one spot on this map the MG does not control. There also does appear to be an enemy unit here as well. I don't see an MG up here, but I thought we got rid of Fog of War, so anyway, who's this guy back here? Is this the colonel? Lieutenant Colonel. Yeah, okay, so he acts as the captain, I assume. Can we... So we've got infantry up here. We've also potentially got more bad guys out this way. We don't have any artillery support. Did we do the trait where I get to crawl for 2 spaces? Doesn't look like it. How many turns do I have? 5? This is a short one. Could use some damn artillery. There's some crenellations in the ground here that can see me, but maybe there's some cover. Doesn't really look like it, but... Alright, so we've got an MG back here. I'd like to... Let's do this. Can we do a fire by recon? Are they in range? Yeah, we can. All right. Nice French. You heard him. All right, so there's the MG up here, and then there's just a regular infantry group down here, I guess. So, to that end, keep the MG fire up on this guy. Gotta try and suppress him. Alright, so they are red, which indicates full suppression, I believe. So not really any sense in suppressing them again, but we will try and suppress the infantry down here. Maybe we can get them into full suppression too. Ooh, they got some stress. And we gained a little bit of experience. So there's some indication that we'd be going into a fire zone here, but with these guys suppressed, I think... Oh no, they're all gonna be... Okay. Alright, anyway, bolster these guys to give them a little bit more morale. And then move them forward. Risk exposed to fire, but... Why did they get a bunch of stress here? Why it looks like they're... Got a whole bunch of red things. Alright, let's move to this building. I'm assuming this is some cover. We can't move any of my other units. This is for 2nd squad, 3rd squad, 1st squad. We've still got the lieutenant colonel. He can go ahead and give these guys commands too. So let's do this. Let's have him bolster, because he can bolster anyone adjacent to him. Their morale is not great. I'm assuming it's because they're like disorganized, but they can head out this way. So we'll move over here. They will end... Aw. They decide not to do that. Okay. Can we bolster them again? They failed their morale check, basically. Alright, they didn't fail the second time. Looks like we've got the enemy suppressed enough that they didn't shoot at our squads as we closed in on them. And that's all my movement points. So in the turn, do the French shoot back? Not right now. All right. So Lieutenant Butcher, go ahead and bolster these guys. Colonel's MG is going to go ahead and keep the heads down on the enemy MG. They're already maximum suppressed. I just trying to keep their heads down further. Keep them hugging the rocks there up on this hill. Remember, this appears to be a fairly basic scenario here. They don't appear to be already bolstered. Okay. They don't appear to be a complex battle. Okay, so we managed to knock them out. Can we charge twice? So we knocked the first squad out. Can we go second time? Yeah. With a primal cry, you and your men rush toward the enemy. Rifle fire flashes in the dark. The sputtering of their machine gun abruptly ceases with a telltale clank. Jammed. Thank God. As you crest the firing pit, you find yourself face to face with a pair of French soldiers beside their machine gun, one dark and one pale. The nearest man bangs hastily on the receiver with a hammer, while the other strains to shift the stuck bolt. Your squad falls upon them, shooting, kicking, and screaming. One of them manages a last scream. The other goes down right after the gun pit is captured. Major victories. One second, by the way. I thought I might have heard my kids, so I'll be right back. Apparently not. I'm not sure what that was. That was weird. Everybody still looks to be asleep. Anyway. Okay. So, major victory. We didn't take any casualties, so that's good. At least as far as I'm aware, it didn't tell me anything happened when we did our little melee there. Yeah, it was kind of like a... Aah! You know, maybe they were cheering our victory. And then also, major victory for my officer. I'm sure the colonel was thrilled that we took the... I mean, one of the things, and that's why I charged twice with them rather than being a little bit cautious. One, if it looks like you've got all the enemy pinned, go for the throat because they can recover, take advantage of it. But then also, too, like the faster you win battles, the more sort of your reputation goes up for the brass. I don't know that the men care. So, like, if you're trying to get a good score, part of that is like, oh, you might have 5 turns to win the battle, but if you do 5 turns exactly, you're kind of doing the bare minimum. You're kind of quiet quitting. And so, you know, you want to do better than that. Okay, no one out of action, sir.
Off Casablanca stood the convoy from America. To the troops aboard spoke their commander, General Patton.
Soldiers and sailors, it is not known whether the French African army will contest our landing. But all resistance, by whomever offered, must be destroyed. However, when any of the French soldiers seek to surrender, you will accept it and treat them with the respect due a brave opponent and future ally. Remember, the French are not Nazis or Japs.
Okay. A flash of distant shells. Boat after boat crashes onto the shore. Okay, major victory. Objective seized before turn 4. Major victory. Casualties numbered fewer than 4. We didn't take any casualties. Okay. Getting a... yeah, we already saw that. The men stagger and collapse with relief near the broken empty machine gun. Cigarettes are lit by shaking hands. Sergeant Grant immediately shouts at them to snuff the flame. You order the pickets set. Yeah, dude, don't fucking smoke on the hilltop. All you are is a beacon to enemy spotters and artillery. Sergeant Grant immediately shouts at them to snuff the flame. Your orders pickets set to warn against any counterattack while Grant supervises an inspection of salt-encrusted equipment and plenty of minor wounds. In the distance, artillery continues to thunder, both incoming and outgoing. The war continues, but right here, right now, you have won your first victory. Soaked to the skin and spitting out seawater and sluggish from carrying so much drenched equipment, they fanned out along the coast. Enemy searchlights probed the area, and an inaccurate machine gun fire could be heard coming from Fidelia and its environs. McManus, ACAC. I need a... McManus is like the he's the author... He's been an author of a number of books. Hauser, if he's in the chat, knows more of his work. But, yeah, he's a historian who I believe is like the historical advisor for the game. Or one of them. Victory can be tiring, but less so than defeat. This particular image shows soldiers resting after landing operations at Fidelia. Okay. Where the hell is Roberts anyway? Private Patterson asks between shaky drags on a smoldering cigarette. You're about to enter a crucible. Mindset chart. Your development as a leader. You may add additional mindsets as your perspective on how to accomplish tasks increases. Mindsets also influence gameplay both on and off of the battlefield. A crucible occurs whenever traumatic events unfold and represent the internal struggle soldiers undertake in order to come to grips with the impact of the war. There is no single answer to this riddle. Choose thoughtfully. Smoke drifts past and brings the scent of a burnt cordite. The enemy's rough gun pit is littered with the detritus of battle. Spent casings, discarded clips, and a crumpled figure in an olive drab at the edge. A low moan rises up as you and Sergeant Grant hurry over to the fallen soldier. Dawn strips away the darkness to reveal an American private, splinters of a shattered rifle beside him. From the look of it, he's been here longer than your platoon. He clutches at his chest, blood seeping beneath his fingers. Oh, God, the wounded soldier wheezes out plaintively, gulping down a ragged breath. The less involved I am with this, the better. Cold. Sounds like dude's a goner. I don't want to risk my men. What can't... I mean, I don't know enough to know what we can do. See what we can do. You kneel beside the wounded soldier, the sand shifting beneath your knee. Sergeant Grant does the same. The wounded man's eyes shift toward you. Lieutenant? His voice is wet and croaking, but it's only once you've heard. It's one you've heard many times. Hancock. You blink hard. Beneath the blood and sand, it's Hancock. What am I doing? I'm not a medic. Whatever. Apply pressure. I know that much, right? You place your hand atop the wound. The blood is warm and sticky as it covers your skin, slowly pumping out of Hancock's chest. The blood won't stop. Sergeant Grant shifts Hancock's bloody dog tags aside to give you a better angle. Private Hancock shudders. His clammy skin is deathly pale, so cold, he says, "Oh, now he's gonna die." It could be worse. Lie or tell him the truth? I don't know, dudes. What do you do? Do you lie to a guy when he's dying? Do you tell him the truth? Maybe I should have risked my men to find him a medic. Ugh. I didn't want to risk it for a stranger. I got through the battle without loss, and now this guy apparently died, like, outside. I don't know which unit he's in, but he didn't die in the assault on the machine gun. He won't survive to resent me, I guess. Alright, give him a chaplain. Oh. His hand falters. The book falls into the sand. keep fighting your fight. That's not... Fuck that. He doesn't care about that. I guess who do I write to? That might give him some solace if I write to someone he knows. The men watch from cover as Sergeant Grant reaches out and lifts the thin paper bag from where it fell atop the sand. The red badge of courage. Huh. Grant reads softly from the tattered covers as a star shell arcs across and casts a pale yellow glow above. He tries to figure out how to tuck it back into the deceased's pockets without forcing the issue. My father gave me a copy before I joined up. Guess I wasn't the only one. Huh. Okay. A bookmark falls from the pages. A black and white photograph of a high school football team with a dozen young men looking toward the camera with conviction. Hancock is one of them. The Kirbyville High School football team, image courtesy of Jill Carlson from the collection of Mr. D.T. Kent, Kirbyville, Texas. Okay, so the blood on the corner definitely looks like it was sort of added, but it's a real photo of a team. I don't know that anyone on the team died. You did everything you could, and he is still dead. The men are silent, reverent as they look to the sky, down at the sand, or off to the distance. They too are trying to make sense of it all. Plus 20 combat fatigue, plus 1 realism. Realism is how well you deal with combat fatigue, which I don't understand the scoring. That has not been made clear to me. I do know that combat fatigue, when it gets to 100, sort of ticks you up toward a break or something like that. And trust with my men went up 15. Grant's hands shake as he passes over one of the dog tags. The other returns to the body. Your fingers brush aside the sand and grit as you grasp the metal square. The edges stick with blood. The Army's summary of Hancock's life lies in your hands, along with the name of his next of kin, Helen Hancock, 107 North 27th Street, Lincoln, Nebraska. Probably his wife. They'll still be getting they'll be getting a terrible telegram. Hancock should have used his grenade or tried something else. Then you could be writing the report that would give him a medal instead of this. Sergeant Grant gathers a burial detail. He drives his entrancing spade into the earth. The dead soldier's helmet goes on top of the mark where he fell. Okay. These moments are not for one man but our unit. Discipline acquired. Combat fatigue. Realism. Graves registration will take things from here. Professionalism mindset acquired. Combat fatigue. Realism. Hancock died because he couldn't think of another way. What? He charged and it nearly worked. Well, I went with the cunning mindset. I don't know what this means, but I'm going to go with it because it advances my cunning mindset. Although I would say that, like, to a certain extent, if I was to say, like, what I think, I'm wondering if one is, like, you know, obviously leaving a rifle in the ground or a spade in the ground with a helmet feels more for the units than it does for the individual. But anyway, let's advance the cunning mindset. Soldiers are trained for battle, but that doesn't mean they go into combat prepared for it. Private Hancock could have done ever so much more if he'd acted at a more fortuitous moment. Luck only gets you so far before you have to drag it with you. Okay. Nearby, the men of the first squad crouch in the dark as artillery thunders in the distance. They too are thinking about Hancock. They too are trying to figure it out. Hell of a thing, Sergeant Grant says softly. It hits hard, you know, and the younger guys will take it even harder. I hope I can help them. Nobody really goes untouched by their first bloody fight. In the last war, they called it shell shock and tried to figure out how to treat it so that veteran soldiers could keep fighting. From the Epic of Gilgamesh to present days, soldiers have dealt with the strain of battle in different ways. Every day, every loss will eat away at them, blotting out their joys until they either fall into despair or break. Every time a unit takes, or to a lesser extent inflicts, casualties, they gain combat fatigue. They may also gain it when they are heavily suppressed by the enemy. Combat fatigue persists from scenario to scenario, and the more and the more it has, the greater the chance it will acquire a point of stress that will lower the effectiveness of morale of a unit. Time away from combat helps the most. Good leadership may keep the men together. At first, the fatigue will be unmanageable. I will do what I can for them. Okay. Between scenarios, you may have a chance to lower the combat fatigue, but you'll never eliminate it completely. A good leader can keep the men focused and on task by having a chat, giving a speech, or even dressing down a dispirited soldier. Oh god, let's not slap anyone now, huh? This is the usual way to reduce combat fatigue, and it works a little, but it can never fully eliminate what has been built up. Green soldiers will rapidly gain combat fatigue, veterans less so. Okay. I'm curious how this all plays out, but yeah. A deep voice abruptly bellows from the dark. Hold your fire! Officer coming through! You turn to see Captain Lamb striding toward you, silhouetted against the dark by flashes of artillery fire. Walking before him is a wet, sand-covered and utterly weaponless Private Roberts. The enlisted man's eyes are wide and fearful as the captain prods him forward. I believe this one is one of ours, Captain Lamb asks you pointedly. Yep, he's part of the platoon. I'm tempted to ask if you need him back, Captain Lamb says. All my runners went in the drink when we hit a reef, and I haven't seen one of them yet. Do we shoot cowards? Well, you're not going to make him a runner if he's a coward, right? Or rather, he drove a truck. I mean, just look at him. He may have lost his weapon, but he's here. May have lost his weapon, but he's here. True, but not convincing, Captain Lamb notes. Roberts gives a little gulp, and the captain fixes him with a weighty gaze of a dispirited, disappointed father. I want to hear what he's got to say for himself. Sergeant Grant cocks a skeptical glance at the bedraggled private. Nearby, Morris and Patterson lean in to listen. On the beach, a new line of Higgins boats slowly gropes its way toward the shore. The place where Hancock's body lies, Robert's friend, is just a few steps away. Roberts, Hancock just died taking this gun. Private Roberts stares at you, eyes blinking in the gray dawn light. No, I was just... He looks to Sergeant Grant. Grant tenders over a small shake of his head. Robert shoots a glance at Morris and Patterson, but there's nothing funny to be said. At last, Robert turns back to you. Something shifts behind his eyes as he stuffs down a rising anger at the loss of his friend. I understand. Thanks for telling me. I'm confused. Why am I talking like this to this dude? Like, telling him the guy's dead, but, like, this little bit is a little confusing. Unless this is just, like, my inner monologue. I'm not really sure. Broken up, Roberts replies. Of course it hurts, but I can't tell how bad, and it doesn't matter anyway. My friend is dead, and someone's gonna pay for that. Dude's on a revenge tour. So dude's gonna become a hero? Or, you know, go on a vengeance. Hopefully he doesn't shoot any prisoners. I don't want rival with a... downgrade my initial feeling. I'm not sure I want Roberts in this platoon right now. Find a rifle, Private. Morris finds him a weapon, and Roberts inspects it with a steady eye. I can't just, like, go... We just lost one soldier. I can't just, like, send another away. We literally just landed on the beach. Lieutenant Colonel Moore approaches, kicking up sand as he goes. He heads right for Captain Lamb. Captain, I require this platoon. Cutting off Lamb's startled reply, he turns to you. Lieutenant, I know you'll be wanting to catch your breath, but I need you and your men back on your feet. You've got one of the few units on this beach that made it ashore intact. You must have had one hell of a coxswain, and let me tell you, I want him promoted. He glances over his shoulder at the dark beach where the next wave is navigating the approach. Roberts extracts his flashlight, no doubt to examine his new rifle, but Morris halts the man before the other private can flick it on. Now, when I give you the order to fight, you did just that, the lieutenant colonel notes, having thankfully missed the little exchange between privates. And you got things done in a neat trice. We all need more of that now. There's a group of German officers, old nags from the last war, they've put back into harnesses on an armistice commission that bullies the French around. Secure them from the Hotel Miramar in Fidelia before they can run off into the desert on us. You gotta move quick. Company A will be there to hold your hand when the French finally wake up, understand? Okay. All right. Sure. Yes, sir. I'm not going to salute you on a beach. Man, this game just wants you to pull sniper checks. We'll find a way to do it, sir. Be creative, but get my Germans, preferably before breakfast, Lieutenant Colonel Moore says. A crack of wood heralds yet another boat broaching upon the reef. Lieutenant Colonel Moore motions for Lamb to follow as he stalks away, yelling and cursing at the waterlogged arrivals. Captain Lamb catches your eye. You know what to do, Captain Lamb calls out over the din. The rest of Nickel Company will be along. Then he turns and follows the Lieutenant Colonel back to the chaos along the shore. Okay, so we gotta go capture some Germans. Alright, I do like these little historical mementos. Let's go ahead and check this. So we've got a good chunk of loyalty and prestige to spend. I've gotten to a level 2 star for my officer. We didn't get to fight with 2nd or 3rd platoon or 4th platoon yet. My 1st platoon is almost to a 4th star, experience-wise. We'll go ahead and get my 3rd platoon up here. I think I can spend... The funny thing is, none of these guys did anything in this fight, but I can still spend on upgrading their prestige. It seems silly, though, to give them credit when they weren't there. But I also don't want to be going in with green troops either. I'd like everybody to at least have 1 experience star, so... Let's do 2nd platoon. They're closest to an even 25. So they get to 100. So now 2nd platoon has all but 1 star. Thanks, Mace. Glad you like it. And then maybe we give myself some experience? Alright, so 2nd platoon is almost all 1 star as well. So we've got 2 squads here, or not 2nd platoon, 2 squads here. 1 squad in 2nd platoon, 1 in 3rd that are not yet to at least the minimum of 100 experience to not be totally green. And then the rest are all 1 star or better. We have 1 3-star unit, the 1st squad, 1st platoon, and in fact, they're the one who did most of the charging for me in that last battle. I think these scores carry over. So, anyway. Let's go ahead and continue the journey. Hey, Jack. Hope you enjoyed it. Hotel Miramar. Now we're on a snatch and grab, huh? 8th November, 1942, Morocco. Whoa, this is a much bigger map.
It was nothing compared to once we got into combat.
That's all I get? That's all I get from the clip? Pre-dawn, Morocco.
Now the plan was wants to improvise.
That sounded like Samuel L. Jackson. It sounded like Mace Windu. The shifting sand beneath your boots gives way to a hard stone as you lead your men away from the beachhead. The town of Fidelia is supposed to be close, but there's no sign of it. 100 yards down the beach, you spot a narrow road that slices straight through the scraggles of trees and brush. A stiff breeze drives a chill through your still damp uniform, but that wind also sends a charnel stink off the beach of blood and exhaust your way. On the side of the road, the men eagerly take a short break, several gathering around a signpost, as one of the boulder men poses beneath. "You know, this is still better than being aboard the Bliss," Private Patterson mutters while pondering the sign. "I was thinking that from the moment we hit the beach," Private Moore says. "Remember back in North Carolina when we—" "Stuff that yapping," Sergeant Grant hisses at the two of them, "before things get any louder." Oh, that's not what he said. It's just stuff that yapping, he said, before things get any louder. They'd be a lot less talkative if they knew the truth. "We're headed into danger. This is no ordinary recon mission." Okay. The platoon hustles down the road toward your objective, the town of Fidelia. The desolation gives way to a sprinkling of dark buildings. As the gray sky brightens, the town resolves into sharply delineated streets cultivated from the surrounding desert. There's over 2,000 Vichy soldiers in the garrison, but the men don't know that. I can't let them. It'll ruin morale. Negative events will have an increased impact. The intel could be wrong. We have no idea what's ahead. I'll tell them the odds roughly. Really? First platoon will gain a little suppression. Negative events will have less impact. Sure. You remind them that the French are close and in garrison numbers. The muttering that follows tells you what they think of that. You give the orders. The first platoon squad... I don't need to be Napoleon at Waterloo. Those aren't Prussians. Those are French. You give the order. First squad hustles past a squat little building. Harsh white light spills across them as the door opens. A blurry figure is silhouetted. Something large is carried over one shoulder. Private Roberts turns toward the figure. His borrowed rifle rises in the glare. Okay. So he's going to shoot this person. Whoever this is. We don't know who it is. Wait. Roberts readily safeties his weapon. Across the way, the lone figure gives a hesitant but friendly wave despite his burden. "Bonjour, monsieur," a weary voice calls out in a thick accent. "Is that French?" Roberts asks. "No one in particular? And everyone on principle?" It sounds like French. Bad French. Still French. "Ah, hello," the French-speaking figure calls out, this time in a faintly British accent. The man sets down a meaty burden upon a narrow wooden table outside the building. A boy trots around the corner with a cleaver, but the older man shoos him back out of sight and turns back to you. "Welcome to my shop, soldier. It would be very good to take your custom, if you like. Meat this morning, very fresh." Quite the accent you have there. "Accent?" the man asks as he turns up a covered lamp to shine discreetly upon his own features. His smile is a buffed white that is all brighter against his olive skin. But there's a tension in him as worry lines gather around his eyes. I had not noticed, but then it takes two hands to clap. "I am Abdallah Daoud, your good neighbor." The breeze shifts. The smell of blood and foulness comes with it. Far worse than the beach. It is almost overwhelming. A soft buzz of flies surrounds the haunch of butchered meat. What meat is that? "Camel, very fresh. Great for Gada. Don't you bleed those out or something? Oh yes, knife to the neck with blessing and care. But your big guns make big mess. Boom. Okay. What can you tell me about the French garrison in Fidelia? Enough. Oh no! I double clicked. I didn't even see what he said. God damn it. I want to know what he said. He said it with such a heavy accent I didn't understand. I don't know, Kerosene, if there are plans in the future for more stories, but the story in this game is focused on an individual U.S. unit from North Africa to the ETO. Okay. Moving fast, soldiers silhouetted against the lightning sky. Figure at the head of them gestures those either side take cover. I'm an American. You fils de pute. Okay. Sign and countersign anything? Little late for that shit. An American helmet is thrust up to catch the dawn light. Your men lower their weapons and the other side does the same. A shock of familiarity hits you as their leader draws near. Oh, it's you, Lieutenant Wilson remarks. A patch of salt is dried in his graying hair and his breath is a little short. But he doesn't seem the least bit surprised by any of this. He settles his helmet back atop his head as if he had always been there. Colonel Moore sent me out to help, Lieutenant Wilson says to fill the silence. What's your plan? My plan? You've got more experience. Didn't anyone tell you? I don't need to be so coy with a goddamn fellow officer. You sound as if you've been here before. I have, about 10 years back, Lieutenant Wilson recalls. Working for an officer, Hudson, I think, who was a liaison with the brass hats around here. Had a plan about camels. This was before the Hotel Miramar. Back then, it was just a bunch of huts on the beach. Consider that. Sounds true enough. So anyway, Lieutenant Wilson asks, what's next? We're instructed to assault the Hotel Miramar. Right, and grab the Germans from some commission there. Officers and orderlies, Lieutenant Wilson remarks. Let's take a look at the map. Wilson retrieves a striking aerial photograph from a pocket. This is better than any scribbling with a pen and is usually part of a battalion briefing. One corner of the photo is torn, right where the word restricted might be stamped in red. Huh, someone might have stolen it. Good job, Wilson. I mean, we already know that some French will fight because we just had that machine gun encounter. Are the French braced yet? Doesn't look like it, for whatever reason, Lieutenant Wilson says and idly flicks away a bit of salt from the map as it unrolls onto the dawn light. When Sergeant Grant leans in to take a closer look, Wilson as readily makes room. As I see it, we should go beachside. I figure they'll figure that the invasion hour is past and they'll lay up on the roads, Wilson explains. I'm not saying we'll get our choice of calico, but if we go all out through the town and the Frenchies wake up, we could be in for it. And swinging south is a toss-up. Better to traverse the beach slow but safe. They won't expect the southern approach? Okay, so we have to choose which approach we want to make. Central through the town, beach, or southerly route. Or we could take them all. Wouldn't their defenses be set up along the beach, though? Wouldn't you think? I'm not really sure. Have you seen Captain Lamb? Last saw him, he was getting half the company out of the drink himself, included, Wilson says. Stern's boat got flipped and they had to dive to get the big stuff out. Way I figure, everyone's downed a lot of salt. If that were otherwise, Lamb would be out here himself. Trust in that. They won't expect a southern approach. That might be true. We did go with the cunning option. I'm just trying to think it would be faster because speed is important in this. We can go with the southern approach. We did go with the cunning perspective. The enemy has to be doing more than brewing coffee over there, Wilson says. Got to be a better way to make that approach. The Frenchies are getting organized right now. There's no way they could miss the light show at the beach part, Wilson says, sounding for a moment like it's a sergeant he once was. The safe play is the northern flank. What if we head straight through? My problem with the central route is my flanks will be in the air. The beach route, you have no exposed flank on the right, but your left flank's exposed. You can turn south as you deal with pressure, but you don't have the roads to go as quickly. Hey, diddle diddle, straight up the middle. That's even worse. I say we go south. Alright, this is me doing that. Wilson replies through clenched teeth. Wilson acquires 10 combat fatigue. Folds up the map and stands before long. The platoons are ready to march. Time to lead. All right, so we're going south. Oh God, we gotta take. All right, so the Miramar's up here. I can see why I didn't want to go straight through town. Could I have some satellite recon, please? So I don't know that I want to cram. I'm honestly thinking center and south are actually the better approaches, even though I said what I said. Just because I don't think I want to cram 2 platoons down this one narrow road. I'll get you into some cover here. See if you see anything. Doesn't appear so.
Anyone got coffee?
Gonna try and keep him at least some shrub. I'm a little nervous about crossing the street here. Okay. We gotta get to here, I think it was. And then the Miramar up there. Okay. Meanwhile, my squad can just go. We also have an MG over this way. Why can they not move? Oh, because we're in this. I always forget. You gotta do the rounds. We don't see anything yet. A worrisome silhouette resolves into that of a young woman, her hair braided down the back of a voluminous robe. You watch briefly as she tends the embers beneath an oven. When she opens the little metal door, the scent of baking bread fills the air. So she's in that house, I'm guessing? I'm guessing these little circles are like MG nests or enemy units or something. A young girl not much taller than your knee peers out of a nearby window. She smiles at you. Then her big sister pulls her away. Yeah. The French have prepared sandbags and rifle pits to cover both road and beach, but there's no soldiers here to man these works. Not yet. Okay. Why did I take stress? Apparently we're weary. Not sure why. All right, I only move them slightly because I don't want to get them too far out of ahead of everybody else, and my officer didn't have any points to keep up, so. Flashes of distant naval gunfire gives rise to false thunder beyond the beach. Keep moving? What do I need to consult my map for? Will that take time? You encase your map of Fidelia. A glance reveals that the route's on the Michelin map with Hotel Miramar to the west. Okay, but I already looked at that. Okay. Alright, well, we spotted someone. So now we can open fire on them if we want. Sure. Hopefully they're not civilians. Hey, we inflicted some casualties on them. They're fully suppressed. I'd charge forward, but that may be bad. A bad idea.
Left foot, right foot.
Alright, maybe you can... Oh, shit. Okay, so these guys are all suppressed right now. I don't like the idea of moving into contact here. In the open. These guys are... At least my soldiers are mostly in cover. Theoretically. What can I see from here? Can I see anything? No, not really. All right. Going in the middle of the street seems like a bad idea. So we'll just move the one hex. The infantry can move forward here. All right, so the southern approach seems like maybe it was a bad idea. All these guys are currently suppressed, so I don't know if they'll be ready to shoot at me next turn. But they're definitely set up. The center approach might have actually been best. I don't know. Well, I guess still a little early to say that. We'll see. Okay. Alright, so they crawled here. Okay. Alright, there's some rubble here. You can provide some cover. What's an MG squad? Okay. Alright, get that MG into that nest. My officer's hanging back too much, but they're out of range right now. See, the beach seems like a bad idea. There's 2 MG squads overlooking the beach. Get back into cover. I don't know that staying in the open on that road was smart, but it's what I did. Kind of want to get these guys into this building, but I don't like the idea of having them quite that far out ahead of all the other boys. Who can all see from that building? So the MG can't, but these 2 infantry squads can. Fuck it, go for it.
Pick it up.
Oh god. Oh god. A lot of bad guys around here. Hopefully they don't shoot at me yet. The distant gunfire continues. Keep moving. Okay, so nothing yet. My officer needs to catch up with these guys. Can this MG fire from there? Can it see anything? No, not really. I'm going to take a risk. Hope I don't get exposed to fire. I don't know that I want to use my points to bolster these troops' morale quite yet, because I need command points to get other units forward. So let's just try and see if we can charge these guys. We don't have a great chance, but
Not possible,
no,
sir.
they failed. We can try again. It seems like the enemy's morale is pretty low to begin with. They're all fully suppressed so far, at least everybody we've run into. So I'm hoping I can just rush them and they'll fall apart, but I don't know if that's true. Okay. Right, they've got one more movement point after this, so we'll move them into the open. We can duck them into cover if we need to. So these MGs are facing the beach for sure. Get them into that house. A pack of dogs races down the empty streets. Their nails go clickety-clack incessantly on stone. After they disappear, their howls fill the air. Okay. Alright, so we unlocked More guys. I don't know if these are the Germans or these guys are not suppressed, whatever these are back here. But we are pushing forward aggressively. My MG is getting stuck behind. I don't have the movement points to keep them going. I would like... Where would be a good spot for them to be positioned? Because MGs have longer range. Not really anywhere here. Okay. Alright, these guys can still move one more hex. We could try another assault and try and overrun these frontier troops before they... Yeah, let's do it. Yes. Young boy suddenly darts across an open doorway, heedless of your presence. Okay.
Come on.
Got him. Alright. Again, we're not fighting the Germans right now. We're fighting a somewhat demoralized French unit. Or group of units. I'm assuming as we get closer to the Hotel Miramar, things are going to change. But for now, I want to try and overrun the troops to my front before they have a chance to rally. Okay. There's no captain, which is kind of annoying because that's what I would use to move the... I'd use the captain points to move my machine gunners. Why is Wilson's... He needs to rally or something? Like, what's up, dude? Okay. Did I forget to move these guys down here? I think I did. Move into cover here. You'll have one movement point left to try and overrun these guys. Not a great chance of a morale check. They do it. They get some negative result there, maybe some stress. But they do overrun the enemy and take possession of the building. So we're pushing through that first line of bad guys. I'm just thinking it mostly doesn't make a lot of sense to try and bolster or other things like that at the moment. Nice, another success. Because they're already fully suppressed. That's what the red means. So we're basically charging troops who apparently are not currently ready to fight. Unfortunately, Wilson is a little bit suppressed himself, so he didn't get the full number of action points. So one of his squads stayed back here. But we basically overran this front, this initial group of enemy units that are sort of in our way. Distance-wise, we're probably about halfway there, but I imagine things are going to get a bit tougher. We can see there's still more troops in the interior that we're trying to push through. And we ended up kind of going a full court press. We didn't just go the southern path. We also went a center and northern path, too. The scent of fresh baked bread arises from somewhere close, just out of sight. Man, I'm going to be hungry. Okay. Also needs to rally. That's what he needs. But then his men can't move. That's the problem. That's the dichotomy. Is if I use, can you bolster yourself? I guess he could. The problem is I'm trying to keep the pressure up while we've got the enemy suppressed. We know at least one squad back here is not suppressed. Second squad, first platoon. Can we charge this MG on the beach? Pretty good chance, looks like. Your men stormed the enemy position. The French machine gunners had themselves a nice little place. They were expecting friends, judging from the spare gun and ammo boxes. Detail 2 men to use the spare machine gun? Yes. They'll get it ready, Lieutenant, Sergeant Grant says, as the two of you watch the pair figuring things out. Yes, I need more heavy weapons up front. Alright. Alright, so I'm going to move 2 more units. Kind of feel like I should move the MG forward, so we'll do that. I know that spends a command point I don't really want to use, but... Sacre bleu! There's got to be someone in this area that we haven't spotted yet. Alright.
Keep up, ladies.
I've got 2 more movement points. I'm going to drop this unit down here across the road to this house. That's all that that platoon is going to do this turn. Well, we could go to this house down here. Can't quite get to this house and cover here, so let's do that. We're concentrating a little bit more southerly now. I wasn't trying to hide him in the rear. I didn't have movement points to move him forward. You only have a certain number of movement points. All right.
Hell, I've seen worse.
Bolstered myself. Move forward this squad into that MG nest. I'm worried this turn we gave him too much of a breather, because I can't move any of these other guys. I don't have the movement points with Wilson expending all of his points. The sun is coming up. Keep moving. Why is he still, like, apparently his bolstering was a waste of a movement. He's still suppressed. For the MG, I just moved him, well, just whatever the fastest available route was. Anyway, that was a mistake on my part to not. Gonna need to push these guys forward here. It's another whole line of enemy troops. Oh, fuck.
We'll earn our breakfast, that's for sure.
Another MG down there. American soldiers press past a deserted racetrack. The stalls are empty. The horse is long gone. Okay. Okay, they took a casualty and their morale suffered. Good.
Qu'est-ce qu'ils foutent là? Pourquoi on se bat contre eux?
Alright, that's Wilson's turn. I just don't want to charge into like a damn machine gun, you know? I don't want to... I also need my officer to get the hell up here. Like, he's way too far back. Hey, there's an enemy officer back here. Seriously? They didn't do anything? Oh, no, they surrendered. Don't mind. Alright, so we captured an enemy officer who was, like, stuck in behind our lines, I guess. Okay. Guess that's all I get now. I should really be... there's another... This enemy unit is not suppressed, so good to find that out. Daylight creeps, the city awakes. Keep moving, boys. I think I'm going to pay for not getting this done yet. So these guys are slightly unsuppressed, too.
Should have stayed a sergeant.
Alright, duck into that house. Okay. Sorry, dude. Your house is about to become a war zone. Alright, these guys still have a movement point left. These have 3 movement points, right? They may get shot at here. Damn it! They got shot at crossing the street. Don't look like they took any casualties, though. Okay.
Nous n'avons reçu aucun ordre. Allez chercher un officier.
They're undaunted, so they're not even suppressed. Fuck. They fired a shot. You're goddamn right they did, apparently.
Don't let up.
Okay. That's it for this turn. I need my full complement of... Uh-oh, they rallied these MG guys down here, too. Wilson only has 1? What is going on with this dude? He's just gaining stress and losing points. Nice. They killed the enemy leader there. Well, they didn't... I was hoping they had more movement points in them. I'm not using the game mechanics very well at this point. Major victory will be locked out in 2 turns. I think it would have been better off just instantly using a rally thing early on. Alright, can they move? Let's see here, we've got 2 points. I gotta get here in 2 turns. That's the goal. Getting shot at all along the way, huh? Can we do... Well, Wilson just needs to... Can any of his boys help? These guys can try to suppress here. Okay. Nice. So they suppressed one of the bad guys. I hope they weren't already suppressed. I hope I didn't click the wrong unit. Okay. Fuck it, boys. Hey, diddle diddle, right up the middle. Let's go for it. I know there's at least one bad guy unit to the north of the hotel.
I'd kill for
Or at least there was at one point. Alright, so we overran one enemy unit. Open fire on another. Surprise them. We do shoot back. I can't get there. Next turn, maybe? Hotel Miramar looms in the distance. I mean, so it locks out in 2 turns, right? So we're there next turn. Although we may get shot to pieces in the open here. This is Burden of Command. Is that really why I'm getting penalized movement points here? Is I'm too far back from my men? Is that the mechanic in the game? I don't remember that ever being a thing in the game. At least it was not mentioned in the tutorial. Okay. A platoon, maybe more. Okay. Keep moving, boys. They're forming up for an attack. Maybe it was. I don't recall it being mentioned. We took the hotel. Yay! Let's see if that ends the battle. The lights of the hotel burn bright, driving the shadows of the morning. The squad moves into position. A squat little car suddenly exits nearby the driveway and speeds down the road. Okay. I'm not even with my men, so... Storm inside! Charge! Your men storm inside, shouldering open a door to reveal a garage, large enough to be a second home. A number of German officers clustered about a large vehicle, trying to fit a rotund, white-haired officer into the passenger seat. Sergeant Grant barks a harsh Hander Hoch, and they cease moving. The older officer lets out a harsh snort and mutters to himself. A German captain with a civilian fedora clutched in hand steps out front amid the fiery field gray uniforms and officers. Good morning, he says. The man clears his throat. I'm Staberzach, Captain Alfred von Buchwald. Not Buch. Oh. And I apologize for being out of uniform. You see, I'm also a doctor, and I was treating a patient of mine. If you would give me a moment to recover my hat, I shall make a surrender official. You're a doctor, a captain, and in Morocco. Say nothing. Captain Buchwald clears his throat. Yes, well, moving on. We are all your prisoners. Your men take up positions as they escort the unarmed Germans out into the street. The older one, pushing 60 and change, can barely manage an even stride. Do not think the Germans are all such as this, Dr. Captain Buchwald says. We are a race of warriors. Your battles against us will not be such an easy victory. After only 2 blocks of marching, a white-haired prisoner grips his side in evident agony. Shells rumble overhead. The houses across the street explode. You're slammed to the ground before you can think to blink. A wave of choking dust engulfs everything. This is naval gunfire. You lurch back to your feet. In fresh agony, Lieutenant Wilson staggers over. His uniform is covered in fine white powder, and and there's blood on his sleeve. Those are from our guns, he somehow shouts above the ringing in your ears. The Navy's laying on a bombardment. We've got to get clear. A glance toward the captured German finds the old men sprawled all over. They aren't going anywhere in a hurry. Uh-oh. What? How many casualties do I want to take? That's like, I feel what the question is. I don't want to accept a draw. We took him. We can't leave him. You bark the order to your men. Your men try to force the Germans to their feet, but the older men are as limp as rag dolls. Why didn't we take the truck they were trying to cram into?
Withdraw!
Okay. So this might be bad. My troops are all down here. There's enemies between us. And I'm supposed to withdraw toward this area? Okay. This does not look good. This does not look good. Well, I'm Wilson right now, right? I'm confused. Alright, well, let's see if Wilson gets better. Well, but we're not on Wilson right now. This is very confusing. Alright, so these guys have already moved, I guess, so they can move again.
Suppressing fire!
Alright, I think they're suppressed now. We inflicted some casualties too. But I spent all my points with that unit, alright. So let's test this theory out. If Wilson gets closer to his men, can he not get closer to his men? Why can he not move this way? Let's just try rallying my guy and see if that helps. It looks like it does. His score got way better. Now he's got all his movement points.
Legate!
I should have done this a long time ago. God. Don't hit any of my units. I think it was just moving over a long distance. The men got disconnected from their, or they got like, I think it's more like a fatigue thing. Alright, go join that squad. You're going to expose yourself to fire potentially, but...
Run! Run!
Ow! Alright, so we got suppressed a little bit. Can we charge these guys and take their house too? Oh. Maybe the fire will drop on our bad guys and give us a chance? Alright. We'll knock those guys out. Oh, shoot. So there's some fresh enemy troops down here, too. Okay. Alright. I need to rally my officer, I think, Burke. It's going to cost me this turn.
Hell of a fight ahead.
But I need those movement points back. At least these troops up here are still suppressed. Can they not go charge these guys?
Come on, we'll regroup.
They really don't want to charge them, huh? Ow. Don't hurt me. Oh god, that was close. So maybe Wilson's less likely to get hit because he's further from the coast? I'm not really sure.
Run for it.
Did he say run, Forrest? No, he probably said run for it. Oh no! We took some artillery fire just there. I don't think we took any casualties, but... Can we do hand-to-hand?
Come on.
All hail charge. Shoot. Did they surrender? I'm confused. What just happened? I'm very confused. I don't know if all my troops have to make it off the map. I'm not really sure. Okay. I guess we'll find out. My hope is that I just have to get the prisoners off the map. Does it say a woman burns alive? Okay. They're hitting near us, but just behind us.
Run! Run!
Okay. I might just be leaving behind those MGs. Just like, whatever, dudes. We'll meet up with you later. My officer's running to catch up with his boys.
Come on already!
Did all the bad guys go away? Did they disperse under artillery fire? Not that I'm blaming them, but it looks like all our boys can just free move now, pretty much.
Stay together!
Alright, at least some of them got out.
Leg it!
More artillery coming in. I'm a little confused because one of the units withdrew just there. My guy, that's the unit down here with the prisoners, so my officer's going to join them.
We're not done today!
I'm really not sure. I thought we're in the hex where you can withdraw.
Come on! We'll regroup!
That's more... Should be it for this round for these guys. Gotta wait for the artillery to stop firing. I feel like the artillery is picking up.
Faster, damn it!
Alright, so he's withdrawing. Maybe it really does let you do need everybody to withdraw, because it does sure look like these guys are just running at full sprint now.
Hustle!
Most of my boys are making it out, not all of them. Well, but this is a bad guy. Oh, these guys are on the same hex. I forgot about them. That's weird. Alright, so I've got the MG that's way back. But pretty much the rest of the guys are going to make it out, I think.
We gotta get out! Come on, you some bitches!
All right, is that everybody in his command? I think so. I think. Where do they have to get to? I think everybody made it out. I don't know. Crossley continues to haul the naval 30 cal forward despite the crash and boom of naval gunfire. He can't keep up. He'll have to drop it. Hopefully he doesn't die. These guys can't move? Huh. Like everybody's already withdrawn, aren't they? Oh, not these guys back here. For some reason, they're just chilling with the French. Oh, I was right next to you.
Run for it!
Run for it! Oh. Stop shooting!
Let's go already.
Oh, so we're not in the withdraw hex yet. Okay, so this guy does have to move up one. Okay, thank you for that. Showing up late.
Waiting on you, lady.
Or maybe they are? I don't really know. Alright, so they need to move forward one more hex.
We ain't done yet.
Alright, we got one more turn. That's okay. I bolstered them, so they should be able to withdraw now. Yeah, I don't have anything to do with Wilson, so... Try to make it up there, MG. Don't get hit.
Double time!
I don't really know what happens if we don't get out. Do they just die? Because it would suck if they die, but I don't... Should I send my officer back to get him? The barrage keeps rolling, your men keep moving. Major victory, major victory. So I don't know if it doesn't matter. Maybe, I honestly think the only thing that matters is that you get the prisoners there, but I could be wrong. It's barely morning and the day is already chaos. That was a weird choice for that clip. Just noise. Major victory. Secured hotel before turn 9. Kept the prisoners. Casualties less than 10%. I don't think we lost a single man yet. Other than the one we were required to by the story. Amid the chaos, 2 squads from 1st Platoon assemble beyond the outskirts of the town. Nearby, Private Morse absently runs a finger along a fresh seam on his helmet where shrapnel creased the steel. After a moment, he lets out a low whistle at what might have been. Private Patterson wipes out a cut on his friend's ear. The blood is red as rising sun. They damn near missed you. I was lucky. We were all lucky, Private Morris replies with a chuckle that becomes a wince as another salvo of rounds pound the town. Only 2 of the 1st platoon's squads withdrew. Oh no! My trust, -6. The straggling squad will suffer combat fatigue. Okay, so there's the penalty. So 1st platoon is not happy with me because I left behind one of the squads, I guess. I thought they all withdrew, except for the MG. More rounds slam into the town. A fresh wave of dust rolls out. The soldiers take cover. A bevy of Germans are led away under heavy guard. For you, the war is over. A soft electric click tickles your ear as Harris and your radio man fervently try to contact someone to lift the bombardment. No one is listening. So I lose a little bit of trust. Oh well, I've gained quite a bit of trust to this point, so. Yeah, I think trying to get the radio working is the most important thing. Crossley. So Wilson is the soldier's soldier. He gets the MG guy out. Wilson's trust goes up. Easy now, son, Lieutenant Wilson says as he helps Crossley down behind cover. The lieutenant uncorks his canteen afterwards, methodically pouring the contents over Corporal's eyes. Thanks, sir. Crossley's one of my men. I'm a piece of shit. We were lucky, Wilson says. A few scratches, but no real casualties while getting out. I saw a whole bunch of locals who didn't. Wilson draws in a deep breath. You know he's about to curse the Navy as he does not disappoint. Starting small and building outwards as English merges with sharp French and then gallops over to what sounds like German or very drunken Russian, before ending on a sharp Chinese. What? Eventually, though, he runs out of both breath and invective. Okay. You can't match him for swearing, but the invective does comes naturally when you are done. Nothing changes. Not really, Wilson says. Same mistakes, different war. Wilson acquires idealism. Zeal. Okay. We'll go with this one because he gets combat, or because he gets realism too. Yeah, secure the docks so the Navy can tie one on. It's the Army that does the real work. Naval guns continue to rumble. The tang of cordite rolls over the wall and lingers despite the salty sea air. We better get organized, Lieutenant Wilson suggests, his eyes dark from exertion. The day's just begun. With that, he heads off to organize the platoons into something more than a mob of men. Hey guys, my child is rising. They're only a week old. I will continue the recording where we will finish this little bit up for the rest of the scenario. I won't fight another battle, but I'll finish the this little bit up till the menu screen off camera, and I'll include it in the VOD for YouTube. But for now, I've got to duck off here and go take care of my child. So hope you guys enjoyed this stream. Thanks again for coming out for our look at Burden of Command, a preview stream of this game, which comes out on April 8th. Again, thanks again for coming out, guys. Hope you did enjoy. X-Hook, thank you for the new follow. C-Town, thank you for the resub. Everybody, thank you for continuing to support this channel. I really appreciate it. And until next time, I'm out. Bye-bye.